drug to be able to connect with musicians that well and to connect to the song, and there's some sort of truth there. I feel like I'm not even judging myself. I'm not judging the musician. It's just happening.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Between the Jigs, an occasional podcast that comes to you from the ReJigged Festival in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada. I want to acknowledge that our broadcast location is in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. I'm Christine Donnelly-Moan, and today my colleague and friend Elizabeth McDonald and I are presenting a conversation we had with Olivier Arseneault. Olivier is an incredible artist who wears many hats, so he doesn't just fit into one box. People know him as a videographer, a web designer, a martial artist, a father, a son, a partner, but Elizabeth and I were most interested in talking with Olivier, the dancer. We recorded our conversation in the weeks leading up to ReJigged Festival 2021. It was good timing for us because on October 23rd of 2021, Olivier is going to present his multimedia piece Redevenir for ReJigged's gala concert. He'll almost certainly dance a few steps too when his friends in the trio Gentilhomme take the stage in the second half of the show. I'll mention too that Gentilhomme was kind enough to supply the incidental music for this episode. If you're listening to this episode after our 2021 festival, no worries. You can revisit all of our concerts online. Just visit our website, rejiggedfestival.com, for more information.
Thanks so much, Olivier. It's so wonderful to have you here in Halifax. We're just so delighted. We waited so long to bring you back. I'd like to start by asking, because you have such a fascinating background and a mixture of influences, how would you describe yourself?
That's a good, really good question. I come from the North Shore of Quebec, which is, if you take Montreal as a center point of Quebec, so you go 10 hours and a bit more, even like 12 hours on the North Shore of St. Lawrence River, and then you end up in a small city called Sept-Îles. So I grew up there. I landed there when I was 2, when my parents went there for work. And I grew up there until the end of my high school. And that's where I picked up dancing. There was a little group there that is still there, and it's called Tamti de l'Âme. So it's a folk ensemble, folk from Quebec, of course, but also a lot of international dancing. And that's what really brought me to dance, is to see those guys doing Ukrainian or Russian or Hungarian dancing. It was so lively. It was acrobatic. So it really got me into that whole dancing. And we had also to do step dancing, to do ReJigged out there, and I hated it. I hated it. I had really small, my shoes were too small. So it was painful just to be in those shoes. You had to be really good. I used to be good at just smiling, and I could swing my way around the whole dancing thing. I just had to smile and enjoy the dancing. But step dancing was tough because you had to be musician as well, so you had to be really, really tight, and it was a lot of little steps there. So I stick to it because I had to, and it was just later, so like I'd say 6 or 7 years into the dancing, that I saw the power of that dance. I saw I had fun becoming a musician with the music, and really clicked there. But to keep answering your question, so dance was always part of my life like that. Just just on the side. I was always going back to school and having great grades there. I ended up starting architecture school. So I went to Quebec City to study architecture there. I made the whole bachelor, and I was ready to hit the big school and everything, but I wanted to take just a break and to see what architecture was really all about. So I ended up working in Sept-Îles in an architecture shop, and it was a lot of just communication between engineers and architects and clients, and so creativity just went out of the door because there was no place for that that much. Compared to all the studies that I've did in Quebec City, it was all towards concept, developing a concept, and putting some all your thoughts into creating something that is unique and great. So anyway, I worked a bit there, and I was always checking my hours to make sure that I could swing by to a dance show or to a dance project of some sort or to some traveling. So after a while, I just decided, okay, I'm gonna leave architecture for a year. I want to try to just leap of faith into dance, just for a year or something. And if anything goes bad, I can come back to my parents. I can come back to architecture. So it's been pretty much 20 years since I said that I made that leap of faith. A bit less than 20 years, I'd say 16 years. And never had to come back to architecture itself. I went to Montreal, just started dancing here and there. And since I did a lot of folk dancing, not just Quebec, but everything, I felt like I had a really good background in dancing itself. So I've already learned the Russian dance language and the Ukrainian, the Hungarian, the Israeli. So my body was already accustomed to dancing differently. So after that, jumping into different projects, I felt like I was really well prepared. I was always nimble. I think from the beginning I could jump everywhere and climb trees, and so it was something that my body was able to, and I was really into that. So and I also did a bit of Capoeira training, so Brazilian martial art. So that's when I was in Quebec City, and it really changed the way I move. This was a massive eye opener for my body, just because there's so much acrobatic that you can do in a gym on a soft floor, but capoeira is always about like just having the floor you have, and so using everything you have to either jump out, but also to land carefully as you come down.
Well, I love your description of being drawn to ReJigged, to percussive dance, because makes you a musician.
Mm-hmm, totally.
And I think, unlike other styles of dance, there is such a tight connection of the percussive dancer to the music. We are a musician.
Totally.
You're correct.
And I would say also that I feel like I've walked another step when I left the ensemble part of Quebec step dancing, because I've learned a lot of choreographies that go well on music. Mm-hmm. But as I arrived in Montreal, I was open to improv sessions or just jams. And it was a massive step to take. just to jump into the circle and try on just step dancing, because I've step danced for years, so I should be good to just jump in there. No.
Tell us about that transition, because that's all that transition from the structured first step, second step, third step, fourth step to you're on.
Yeah, you're on, and you have no time to think back about what you're doing. You don't have you skip a beat somewhere. The music is crooked, so your plan goes really south quickly. So yeah, the first evening I was introduced to that was in Vice Versa, a legendary pub in Montreal, and so I just went and tried dancing. A lot of step dancers were there, and it was very bad. It was extremely bad, but I tried it, and I quickly understood that I shouldn't. Well, that's really on my side, but I never tried to plan what I'm gonna do. So that was a major understanding on my side, that you get there and you have to listen to the music and to let your body sing the music. So once this happened, it was great. It's a drug to be able to connect with musicians that well, and to connect to the song, and there's some sort of truth there. I feel like I'm not even judging myself. I'm not judging the musician. It's just happening. It's the perfect moment of unicity, or not unicity, but like in unison. Yeah. So it's a great moment. I wish everybody could feel that in their life.
Yes. I call it going through the veil. When you leave the steps behind and move through this veil where you and the musician are so tightly connected.
Totally.
And you're not worried about your footwork anymore. You're not worried about who's looking at you and what they may be thinking. It's you and the musician and the music and the magic that you're weaving together.
Totally, yeah. I've danced a lot also in another place called L'Escalier in Montreal always, and it's great because the sound there is awful. So people really have to play tightly together. It looks a bit like a stage, but the sound doesn't travel that well. So once you get into the circle, you're really in a bubble with whoever's close to you, and but somehow even if the sound doesn't go well across the room, the energy does, and it's so great. I've learned to see the step dancing as the extra spice that brings the whole pot into what the perfect combination of tastes. If you accept my comparison, but the energy is there, the groove is there, and just like adding the step dance over the whole thing, it really brings the energy to the boiling point. And those were epic nights at the Escalier.
What would you say to a percussive dancer who's contemplating making the move, the leap into improv?
Yeah, just leap in there and you'll be bad, and eventually you enjoy being bad, and you just enjoy going and meeting the music face to face, and one day you'll end up being really comfortable in there, and don't judge yourself. Just jump in it and try to forget your steps.
So you have a fascinating and compelling dance scene in Montreal. We're also jealous that we don't live in Montreal. And it's the Jig Contemporain, the contemporary jig community. Tell us about it. It is magnificent.
Yeah, well, it bloomed like 20 or so years ago. A lot of companies started using that as I feel like step dancing had a tacky period in Quebec, or it was considered as tacky for a while after, like, for political reasons and such. But I guess during the 80s, 90s, there was an era of a new generation taking over Quebec step dancing, and we kind of lost a bit of a generation. There's a disconnection between like real steppers, real gigueurs that did that forever, and it was in their family. And then we had ensembles that took some steps and all of a sudden made choreographies. And so it was an issue of bringing that on the stage, because it's such a folk dance. So it's something that happens that used to happen in parties and in jams, but bringing that on the stage was tough, because let's say your square dance, you have to open one side just to let the public inside. So that's already taking some liberties on the real thing. So a lot of people just started pushing the boundary of, okay, this is our material, but what can it become as well? So if you take that and you blend it, at the beginning it was a lot of blending with other folk dances, and just saying, oh, well, what if you try to do step dancing on Turkish music? Okay, like it shouldn't happen, but it created something great. And some people also try to use it with poems. So what happens if you bring those two materials together? And the whole thing evolved, and there's so many creators that were open to trying some stuff. And the Bijico movement. Bijico movement is Bijico stands for Biennale de Jig Contemporaine. Back in the days, it started as a biennale, but straight from the start, this movement tried to open to many voices, to many creators. So a lot of people were asked to create, and it was a major era of answering. Everybody had to answer their own question about what tradition was and how important was the tradition in their piece, and how far could they challenge the tradition. And the whole movement matured a lot over the years. A lot of questions. It was always the running gag of, is there enough step dance in there to be accepted as a step dance piece or a jig contemporaine piece? And over a lot of creations, the whole movement got some sort of maturity. And now it's great to see what all those projects that have bloomed from that movement, and it's still growing strong. Even through the pandemic, I had the chance to work with a lot of different creators and dancers, just doing some small capsules, just meeting having two people meet in a weird spot in Montreal or around, and just having them explore what the city and the surrounding and the meeting of that other person would create. And so I would just do some small capsules all over during the pandemic, and it was great.
as step dancing is evolving in Quebec is how much of a pushback is there from the traditionalists?
That's funny because there's, of course, like whatever you're going to do, some people are going to say, you did it wrong, or it's not the correct way to do it. But since there's been so much of a clash or between the traditional step dancers and the new one that did ensembles and stuff, there's a disconnection. So the old guys, they're not really in contact with the new ones. Sometimes some really nice mix happen, and you can really get in touch with an oldie, a real traditional. But since we were most of us brought in from dance companies, already like as soon as you choreograph something, you're taking liberties. You're changing it, and I feel like Quebec step dancing has never been written down. Like everybody was already doing it his way, and since Quebec is so huge, there's so many little towns of and so many little style pockets here and there. So there's not a really uniform way of dancing, and also in Ireland about the dancing, the real Irish way, with high heels and everything, clack. I know that this comes from contests a lot, and they had to set some rules for the contest to judge people. So that's one way to really get everybody to do the same thing. But we never had that much in Quebec. There's been some in the Ottawa Valley a lot, but in Quebec, there were some contests here and there, but it wasn't as big. So people kept their original styles here and there. It's funny because there's a step that is really all across Quebec and across the Maritime and everything. That's the story from Pierre Chartrand, an old step dancer. He was. I think he gathered that step from an old step dancer in close to Lac Saint-Jean, and they made in the Sortilège, which was a big company back in the days. They made a choreography, and they were dancing with brooms. And I think Pierre left to go to Europe to study, and then he came back, and all of a sudden everybody was doing that broom step. And they were calling it the broom step, as it was traditional. But of course, it wasn't, and it was just because like people took a little something and spread it, and all of a sudden it was traditional. So already, like step dancing in Quebec, I feel like it has always been contested or challenged by other influences. The tap dance was really close by. The Ottawa Valley was close. The Acadian Way also was very really close. So we are a blend as Quebecers and as like the whole thing American, but already it's a contested way of evolving.
Yeah, and that's the nature of art.
Totally, yeah.
It's fluid. And it should be fluid. It's meant to be fluid.
Exactly. And it's so great to see new creations that are really challenging the limits of step dancing and always pushing it further away. I feel personally that it's the best way to make something alive, just to make sure that it's always challenged and it's evolving.
Yeah, and that's really the core principle of ReJigged. We take tradition and we say that we're looking to create, we're trying to create, encourage tomorrow's traditions by taking what is currently traditional and seeing where it goes, see where you can push it, see where you can take it, and seeing what happens when you go there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's the way I feel when I dance, when I go into improv. I feel like my body gathered so much influences, like of course of step dancing, but as the music goes, I just let my body express itself. And sometimes, oops, there's some flat footing coming out, and there's some Acadian steps, or sometimes hey, I didn't know that was a step, but it came out of my body. So somehow all the traditions blend in one's body or one's universe, and it's nice to see it just express itself and evolve like that.
Yes. For those who are not Canadian, could you explain the term Acadian?
Oh yeah. Acadian. Acadian back in the days were one of the first European settlers that came over in Canada. So they landed here in Nova Scotia. Yeah, and they grew. The population grew over here with in peace with the natives, also trying to just discover that beautiful, fertile new world. All of a sudden, the English came over, and that French-speaking population was somehow troublesome because they knew that they wanted to kick out the French from Quebec. So they took the Acadian and spread them all over.
Mm-hmm. And the Acadians went to Louisiana and became Cajuns.
Exactly, and some Acadiens came over in Quebec, PEI, yes. New Brunswick a lot. Mm. So yeah, my father comes from a lineage of Acadian. Mm-hmm. So that's Arseneault,
well, yes,
from.
Yes, because I'm from New Brunswick, and I grew up around Arseneaults.
Yeah.
But your father, was he from New Brunswick, or he is?
Yeah. My grandfather worked a lot in Bathurst.
Okay.
Close to Bathurst.
Yes, of course. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Sept-Îles is where you were born, raised. Sept-Îles shaped you. How does Sept-Îles continue to inform your evolution as a dancer?
Yeah, I feel like when you're young, you don't realize how much your city shapes you. You're just growing in that fish tank. So as I traveled, as I moved, because right now I'm living in Montreal, but I go back to Sept-Îles quite often just to see my parents, to see my old friends out there. And for sure, it changed me a lot because it's by the sea, it's by the forest, it's by it's salty, it's a rude environment. It's not as cute as Gaspésie could be. It's really rugged. And it's so far also because, as I was saying, it's almost like an island. It's 12 hours away from Montreal. So anytime I have to drive back there, it feels like a time travel, a weird time travel. It's I take the car and all of a sudden I see old landscapes that evolved. And as I get closer and closer, I see myself becoming the reflection of that little guy I was back then, and I could see myself back to high school, back to elementary school, and yeah, I come back to that city with a different perspective every time, and even if I've been touring across the world, if I've been I came back from Europe or I came back from wherever, and then going back to that small city, all of a sudden, it really is a mixed feeling inside, and that inspired me. In fact, my last piece, which is called Redevenir, or in English, like to re-become or become again. So it's this long road really inspired me to come back to my roots. And as I was saying before, the all those dance styles that mix inside me. It's all my experience that is always brought back to Sept-Îles through that long road. So every time I wanted to do a show that would give me the freedom to express myself how I am right now. And hopefully this show could still be actual even in 10 years. So, and it would evolve at the same time as me. So I was wondering how to bring the landscape and this road with me on stage to really let that inspire me every time. And since half of my life is also being a videographer, I took a lot of landscape pictures, landscape videos, and through projections, I bring them back on the stage with me, and I let myself improvise this whole show. And it's great to just leap of faith in there, and to try to put myself back into this feeling of this long road ahead of me that is bringing me back to a place I know, but that I'm open to rediscover.
Mm-hmm. And improvising as you go along.
Improvising and somehow living the moment every show. And
we'll be privileged to see an excerpt of Redevenir at ReJigged this year. And we're so excited. Tell me about your other project. You mentioned you're a videographer as well. Mm-hmm. And tell me the other projects you have and where you see your journey going over the next short while.
Yeah, well, I am such a diverse dancer, and I feel to become a professional dancer, at least in Montreal, you have two choices: either to super specialize in one thing or to open up yourself to a lot of different styles. I took the second way, so I've danced with a lot of different people. And I'm, in fact, in Halifax because I did a show just yesterday about the Quebec Bridge disaster that happened roughly 100 years ago, that killed 67 guys. And out of those 67, or 76, I think it's 76. So out of those 76 people that died, 33 were Mohawk iron workers. So I've worked a lot with Barbara Daibo, that is the choreographer on this show. So that's one thing that it's a beautiful show, and I'm really happy to be part of it. And but I'm also right now working a lot with Sarah Bronsard, that happens to be my girlfriend, and she had a show that's called Ebb. And it's a show about, it's the meeting point between 5 robots accordions and...
I've seen it. I've seen that.
5 robot accordions, yes. And her as a flamenco dancer. And all of this is about the communal, the breath experience, because all those machines are huge lungs, and she's also breathing, and there's a bit also about the tides, the receding tides, the way it leaves everything open and reveal everything. So she's aiming to show the intimacy of a flamenco dancer. So anyway, I took over the role in this piece. And it's awesome, and it's really out of my comfort zone because I have to do a lot of programming in there. But I've always done a lot of stuff around performing. So I've been touring a lot and always eager to help. So I've learned a lot about all the technical side also. so that's why also like Redevenir is so nice, because it's taking many sides of my life and putting them together. So the videographer and the technician to install myself everywhere, and the step dancer, and also like I haven't composed the music for the show, but I'm the one that put it together. All the music comes from Cédric Dain Lavoie, an awesome composer, and I'm really happy I can dance on his music. But anyway, you were asking about the future of my of my profession. In fact, right after ReJigged this year, I'm gonna have a nice residency in Marsouis at Salon 58. So I have 2 beautiful weeks to explore, and to I want to push forward into that dancing and videographer experience. So I've been a lot behind the camera, I've been a lot in front of the camera, but yeah, now I want to know what it is to be doing both at the same time. I don't know if it's going to be too shaky. I don't know. I'll have to come back to you. I'm just jumping in there, not knowing really what's going to happen, but I want to research that.
I did want to ask about languages, and I don't know if at what point you became bilingual or if it was something you were brought up with, but what language do you dance in?
That's a nice question. I feel like recently I had the pleasure to do a project in English. Most of the time I'm dancing in French, but I spent a year away in Sweden, and I was dancing in Swedish all of a sudden out there. I did Capoeira out there, so it was Swedish and Brazilian or Portuguese. But anytime you dance, somehow you just speak that language. And I feel like all the dances are languages. So as I was brought up to folk dances, international folk dancing, in a show you could speak so many different language and dance so many dances. So already my training started with so many languages already. So I can't say that I dance in French or in English, but yeah, I dance in very varied language. So even during a jam session, I feel like I can challenge myself to try to speak a different language during a dance, during a little session. So sometimes I just challenge myself to, okay, I'm going to switch style here, and I'm going to try to even have a dialogue by myself during the dance.
So you dance in dance.
Yeah. I speak in dance.
Yeah. So one last question. Why do you dance?
Why do I dance? I think back in the days I was dancing because of people. Because I don't know any better way to meet people and to share something great with people. I wouldn't dance all by myself alone. Like through pandemic, it wasn't the same thing. It's really about meeting people, and as I started, it was a social group for sure. Just dancing with some really good friends and having friends through dance, and it keeps being that. Like, that's why it's so great to have jam sessions, because you meet people on a completely different level, and you can share that moment just through speaking. That's why I dance.
Well, Olivier, this has been remarkable. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Christine.
Thanks for joining joining us and welcoming us into your headphones. If you liked this episode, please give it a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts. And since word of mouth advertising is the best way for us to make new friends, tell all your friends about Between the Jigs. I'd like to thank the ReJigged Festival, an annual festival in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia that celebrates new directions in Celtic music, dance, and song. For more information about ReJigged Festival and the work we do and the concerts we present, including our upcoming concert on October 23rd, 2021, which features Olivier Arseneault and the trio Janticorum, visit our website at rejiggedfestival.com. Talisk is the name of the band that kindly let us use their tune Echo as our theme music. You can find out more about them on their website, talisk.co.uk. Thanks, Talisk. Janticorum is the band who supplied our incidental music. You can see them live at ReJigged Festival's Gala concert on October 23rd, 2021. And at the moment, I think we still have a few tickets left. This concert will be recorded and available to view and review on our website, in case you're listening to this episode, but you've already missed the live performance. Mark Bashinsky is our sound engineer. Thank you, Mark. And thank you to Goramayagut, to the Immigrant Support Program of the Department of Foreign Affairs of the Government of Ireland. So that's bye for now from me, Christine Donnelly-Moan, and thanks again for tuning in. Stay tuned for episode 5, an interview with author Ronan O'Driscoll.